meeting? And was it so good when Chicago had a mile-thick glacier sitting on it? Isn't that a great quote? In fact, it might have been better. We wouldn't have our Chicago problems right now. So there are a few things I want to do. The major thrust of what I've been saying is I think Washington is in need of a direct citizen injection. There's certainly a valid place for professional politicians and people with a legislative background to be in Congress at any level of political office. But I think what Washington needs right now is some citizen legislators. And I'll give you a perfect example. It's Senator Tom Coburn from Oklahoma. I don't know if anybody knows him. He's a medical doctor. And I think he's in his second term now. He showed up in, I guess it was Bush, early in Bush 2, his years. And he was sort of a pariah because he was a hardliner, he was very budget conscious, and he was really stepping on Republican toes by saying, we can't spend this money, we can't spend this money. And they kind of kept him at arm's length. Well, guess what? Things have swiveled, and now he's like a godfather. Everybody, my friend Tom Coburn, you know, he says, we can't do this, or we should do that instead. Now he's in the center of things. Now we need that kind of input from the House. And I guess it was either the Ledger or the Cape Cod Times called me for an interview, and they said, were you surprised by the Scott Brown victory? And I said, well, no, because it's sort of been creeping up on us so quickly and so dramatically, it was pretty obvious. I said, what's disappointed me is all the emails that were sent to congressmen's offices, all the phone calls, all the letters, all the people showing up in office, all the people looking to have an August town meeting with Congressman Delahunt. None of that registered with them. It took this kind of an upset election. It's unbelievable that they've been so out of touch. And these guys get elected every 2 years. In 2 years, they just moved away from common sense. That's another key word or phrase, common sense. They moved away and just got swept along. And maybe we have to have a guest at our next meeting like this would be somebody who knows something about group psychology. How can you take 435 supposedly intelligent people, or at least a half that are Democrats, and they all get swept along this mass psychology, unwilling to say, this doesn't work? It's an interesting phenomenon. I guess history's been replete with these kinds of situations where people just go along, in your field, go along to get along. So, and I'm going to give you a couple examples, and I won't keep you long because you've been a very good audience, but a couple specific things. I want to try to get something done. I've got no political career I'm trying to build. I just want to do the right thing for a few years for our children, our grandchildren, and get out of the way. I'll give you an example. The federal government has become the big, dumb government. It's big and it's dumb. They don't have, with all these bureaucrats, all these geniuses, experts supposedly, they don't know what to do with the terrorists coming into Detroit. After all these years, they haven't figured that out. And somebody noted in the newspaper this morning, the HIG, which is a dedicated group of interrogation experts that was supposed to be set up to handle these situations, that was done a year ago, actually doesn't even exist. They just say they're doing it, but nothing's actually happening. This is the kind of dumb things that are happening in the government. I could say other things, I have to hold back. So we've got a government that's getting larger and larger and larger, and they say they're going to do efficient health care. How can they do that? The week after they got that Senate bill before us, they right away turned it into a political football. They refunded the doctors for $250 billion. They gave Nebraska the, what do they call it, the Cornhusker or something or other, the Louisiana Purchase. Massachusetts got some goodies out of that. So right away it's turned into a political vehicle. So how do you make that efficient? Every year there will be a different lobbying group or some other senator who wants another favor.